is now underway. We've got huge savings in Louisville. Get $9,000 off or 1.9% for 72 months on select models. Yes, you heard right. That's $9,000 off or 1.9% for 72 months happening right now at Koppel. So take that short money saving drive down 144th Street or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with roof credit. Stock number G214773.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through March 26th is spend $25 and receive a free 10-ounce New York strip. Limit 4 per visit. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locations on 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a chance of rain expected throughout the day. See falling temperatures with a high around 52. Tonight, a chance of wintry mix and blowing snow possible. See a low around 23. And tomorrow, a slight chance of snow in the morning. Otherwise, mainly sunny and windy. High around 36. Meteorologist Kyle Kleck for 93.7 Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Old School with DP and J.
Do you think it's too early to talk about Patrick Mahomes as the greatest of all time? You know, to be honest with you, I think he might be on ahead of the pace. It was definitely on pace, maybe ahead of the pace. I think right now everything that he does is going to get overblown, and I think people so quickly forgot the 20-year run of the Patriots. Not 5-6 years, 20-year run of Tom Brady and the Patriots.
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker and one more.
DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weeknights. Once again, Harrison Arns on the ones and twos back at the 1040 Ticket Studios. This is the Don't Punt Hour with the host, as always, DeMornay Pierson-El, streaming in. And again, if you guys ever want to join the show, Starter Human text line, that's 402-464-5685. Put a face to the voice, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and of course, Allo Channel 961. You even get us on Amazon Prime in case you've missed any of the previous podcasts. But nonetheless, let's bring him in. DeMornay Pierson-El, the host, as always. I'm going to try to stop talking about the weather, but it just keeps getting me down. It's miserable out here today on a cold Monday night, but how's it going?
It could be worse. It's all right.
Yeah. Real quick, let's just go ahead and dive into it because I haven't had the chance to talk to you about it. We got to talk Husker hoops here. The women's, they're out, but they do win the first one against Texas A&M. They at least make that A&M matchup a 1-1. but they do lose in the second game to a good Oregon State team. Just your thoughts. We'll start with the women's side because to give them their credit for at least getting that first game against Texas A&M. And, real quick sum it up for me is the size. They just couldn't figure it out. They had, 10 blocks against them before the end of the first half. So I just think defensively it was a tough matchup. And without an ability to kind of get their bigs in foul trouble, that game was just incredibly tough to pull away for the Husker women.
I mean, exactly. It just the matchups wasn't favorable. They gave it their best shot. I mean, it just wasn't their day, honestly.
Yep, and then the shooting, it's been up and down. It's been more consistent for Nebraska down the stretch, but they really needed an explosive offensive game to try to handle that defense. Because again, inside, I'll give the Oregon State credit. I mean, they were mean and tough inside, and let's just start with that transition. That's what Nebraska needed. If you're going to beat Texas A&M, you got to take a charge or you got to beat them to the spot. You can't. It's high pick and roll. Downhill. You look at how they played Houston last night, how they pushed Houston to OT.
Houston was close. I mean, 4 of your 5 starting 5 is fouled out. Like, the basketball guys is on their side, but I mean, they were aggressive. They was attacking the basket. They had one drive, and that was just one speed, and that was just going forward, and we just didn't have an answer for it at all.
Yeah,
and it seems like they kind of honestly they gave up early.
I mean, I'm with you there. It's just definitely frustration. I don't want to say they gave up early, but you can argue frustration, kind of the same thing. Like the frustrated plays that felt forced at times. That's not quote unquote giving up, but it is putting some sort of red flag out there that Texas A&M can identify. It's like you guys aren't even playing your style of ball anymore
at all. Like, well, I wouldn't say giving up, but it just that they may have been flustered, uncomfortable, and it just seemed like once they kind of put a cap on Tamanaga, I mean, that was all she wrote.
Yeah. And I'll say this much. Houston, you're lucky. You don't win that game if Wade Taylor has the same game he had against Nebraska. They weren't hitting at nearly the same clip from the 3-point line, and they were taking just as tough, if not easier, open shots. Now, in the second half, they definitely tightened up on the perimeter. But in that first half, they're lucky that they had any lead at all because Texas A&M, they just weren't having the same shooting night. But
they just weren't on. And that was another thing, with the Nebraska, when we were going against them. It seemed like anything they were throwing up was hitting.
6 for 6 for Taylor off the bat.
They played probably as best of a game, as close of a perfect game as you could, and they were just on. So I mean, and that's nothing against Nebraska. It's just they were hot, they were rolling. I mean, they took Houston, who arguably is one of the better teams. They took them toe to toe and almost pulled it off. So I mean, credit to them. That they had an on night. It was what it was. But you could have hung with them. Like I said, it wasn't their night at all.
Yeah, it felt like the only reason you need to hang with those guys is because you need to make those shots that keep going in, have some pressure behind them. When a team's shooting well and they're up 20, that rim just looks open, more and more open. When you start creeping back on them and they feel your pressure and like, okay, Nebraska's coming back, they just need a few stops and a few buckets. Pretty soon, those 3-point shots start meaning a lot more. Even if you still got a double-digit lead, you're thinking about Nebraska coming back. And again, I just think what we're saying before, Nebraska looked frustrated. Part of it, how do you stop a team that's predicated on driving to the rim, the best team in terms of offensive rebounds, that all of a sudden just added the best 3-point game out of any team in the tournament? I mean, that game with Nebraska, they could have beat number 1 UNC. Maybe UConn is where they fall, but they would have certainly beat Houston last night if they had that same shooting number. You could throw in just about every other team outside of maybe a UConn, Arizona, that I'd probably pick that Texas A&M team if they played like that to win.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
And it's 20 free throws in the first half against Houston. I mean, this team,
and they missed half of them.
Yeah,
like they were still in the game, with the missed free throws and I wouldn't say a horrible shooting night, but I mean it was just a slow start. The one thing that they had going for themselves was them attacking the basket and getting Houston in foul trouble.
Mm-hmm. It was the last about 10 minutes of that first half. A&M didn't hit any jumpers until about the last or second last possession, if I remember correctly. But I know they definitely didn't hit any jumpers until towards the end on whatever that second or last possession. It was all free throws. Mm-hmm. Houston was still scoring. Texas A&M was doing nothing but getting your guys in foul trouble, which if I was obviously rooting for Houston, which got me nervous because it's like Texas A&M is doing an incredibly good job, exactly what they want. Get the guys in foul trouble. I will say, though, with a team like that, it's just, how do you stop? I know it's going to be hindsight being 2020. Nebraska doesn't have a chance anymore. But what did Nebraska need to do in this game against Texas A&M if they want to overcome it and finally make history for a basketball program, to be frank, doesn't have any?
You needed more people to step up, not just, one person. You needed to slow them down, so get them in foul trouble. If they want to, try and run by you, be more athletic and everything like that, help defense take a charge.
Mm-hmm.
That'll slow you, going down, driving past and everything like that. And then we needed to attack, the rim and get to the basket more. I feel like, they were just settling for, whatever they were giving them. If that's threes, they really wasn't, driving or trying to get to the bucket. And I don't know if that was just nervous because of the Anderson guy. I know he had a heck of a year with rebounding and a defensive showing and whatnot. So I don't know if that defers you a little bit, but I mean, he was probably no different than Edey. You went at Edey.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a combination of things. And then it was just a perfect storm. They were hitting on all cylinders, anything that they were getting, anything that they wanted. And it wasn't our best showing, and it wasn't our best, foot forward to try and, stop the bleeding.
Yeah, it really felt like when Texas A&M was matching our crazy offense to start the game. I mean, offensively, Nebraska and A&M, they were trading like crazy. I mean, both teams got to 25 points in the blink of an eye before 5 minutes felt like it even passed in that first half. The only difference was Texas A&M was doing an inside and out. Nebraska was just hitting threes early on, and when those dried up,
that was it.
That's the curtain call. I mean, Texas A&M just kept making them. And again, when they weren't, if they maybe had a miss, they'd go back inside, get some confidence, go to the free throw line, see a couple go in, and then there's Wade Taylor again in that second half, terrifying the living hell out of all the Nebraska defenders. I mean, you give Wade Taylor credit. You knew he was a problem heading in, and it almost looked like he took some of the K-State being the electric playmaker 3-point that everyone's so excited to watch personal, because he came out there and absolutely attacked. But on that being said, Nebraska, we do got to talk about a couple mentions. Already hit the portal. Eli Rice, he's hitting the portal. Ramel Lloyd Jr., maybe that's one you can kind of anticipate just because of the way his season's gone. His availability since being on Nebraska has been up and down. I will say this much: it's not grades. Before any bashes on the guy saying, he wasn't playing because of grades. Don't think it's any of that. I just think injuries, time-wise, he got hurt, right before the season when you're trying to crack back into the lineup when you missed all that time off. Just very tough. Eli Rice is a really tough one, though, for me anyways, because I know I got to see him play, and I liked it a lot. Big, tall, could really shoot the three ball well, despite under pressure. He's just tall. He shoot right over the top of you. Defensively, you would want more, but the frame's there. I mean, he's got long arms, long wingspan. You like his development under Fred Hoiberg, but he's hitting the transfer portal. So now that's going to add Josiah Allick. He will no longer be here. Cookie Belcher no longer be here. Obviously, Casey, who am I missing here? Josiah Allick, the last one I'm missing here. And now you throw on Eli Rice from Alloy Jr., also out of Nebraska's roster for next year. How much, obviously, there's going to be some moves to be made, but what are your thoughts just on Eli Rice, Ramel Lloyd Jr. hitting the portal?
It sucks for situations and everything like that. You don't necessarily, knows what goes on behind closed doors and whatnot. So, wish him the best with things and whatnot. But I mean, the bus keeps moving. That we had a good showing this year, and it sucks. And there's a lot of people, that have to be replaced and whatnot. The good news is that this coach has shown you like he can make things happen. The past couple of years, the product that he's put out, young product, or dudes coming in and giving them a second chance and getting them a second breath. He's shown them, what he can do with those type of guys. So, I think Nebraska is a more appealing places to guys to come and play and everything like that, especially with a lot of holes and shoes to fill. So that situation and that stuff will take care of itself. You never want to lose necessarily guys like that, but people make decisions. That's what they think for what's best for them. All you can do is respect it, just wish them luck and keep it pushing.
Absolutely. And shout out to Ian on YouTube. Corrects me. I said Cookie Belcher, Boogie Coleman. I have a habit of switching those guys' two names around a lot. Once you say it once, kind of gets graved in there. So again, shout out to Boogie Coleman because I'm glad you corrected me because that guy deserves a lot of respect too. For being a senior, see him go. That's a guy that took on a less role, but you heard it from the players, was still a strong leader. It meant a lot to those guys and continued to push them despite maybe not getting the minutes he once had. So again, shout out to Ian. Good correction there. Want to make sure Boogie Coleman gets his flowers. But yeah, with this Nebraska team, I mean, now you're looking for options in the portal. A guy like Chucky Hepburn, maybe, or a guy in Williams, maybe getting him out of SDSU. Is there any hot targets kind of in that transfer portal? Really, kind of some of those Nebraska natives, like a guy like Chucky Hepburn coming back to Nebraska. Does that excite you?
It possibly could, but I mean, does he fit? Just because it's a big name doesn't mean necessarily it's right for Nebraska. So the season just ended. Those things will handle itself. I don't think it needs to be a rush with anything or nothing like that. I'm pretty sure he has some young guys coming in that can help with things and whatnot. Like I said, he's been hitting on guys coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a worry. He identifies talent. So I mean, I don't think it's a process that you want to rush. You know what I'm saying? The season is still going. March Madness is in the thick of things. So I mean, it's not anything that you gotta rush and get this and go that and everything like that. Like no, really assess and kind of gather and find a direction that you want to go in.
Yeah, I mean, so the reason like a guy like Chucky Hepburn, I don't have anything for it or against it right now. I think he's a great player, but I do get what you're saying. So like when you're talking about does it fit your system, what are the things in Nebraska's offense that you think needs to be patched up? Like, is it size? Is it more shooting with the loss of Keisei Tamanaga? Is it just a simple playmaker, someone to make sure the offense is clicking on all cylinders? Kind of what Rink Mast is. Tough for him to do, obviously, at the 4-5 position, but he's a lot of that playmaking.
I would say length and size for sure. Just because I mean, we matched up. We were smaller than a lot of the teams that we played
all season for the most part.
So I would say that. And I say, from your guards and your forwards, two-way players. Those type of guys, really like flashed to where it wasn't just, they weren't just, offensive guy. Casey played defense. Williams, played defense. Even the guy that was coming off the bench, defense. They all contribute, not just on one side of the ball. So I think getting well-rounded guys that can contribute on both ends, because I think that was a part of their identity. I think that helped them. Excuse me, in a lot of games, and not just just being one-sided and just all offense heavy or just only contributed on defense. So I think those are the two things that you need to identify and get and replace quickly.
Yeah, I'm with defense wins championships. I know it's cheesy and corny, but I mean, it's the real thing. Why is Houston so highly favored? Why is Purdue so highly favored? Their defense around the rim in particular is terrifying. I know we just talked about it, but Texas A&M, the fact that, they're getting 20 free throws and they're still losing, that just means they can't hit any other shot outside of getting to the free throw line. So
those refs were really pissing me off because the stuff that they were giving A&M, they weren't even giving Houston. I'm like, come on. Well, like Houston was making like tougher shots, and I'm like, you're not calling that. And then on the opposite end, touch foul. I'm like, what are we doing? The rig is in.
I would say it felt like that against Nebraska too. Now I still think Nebraska loses that game just because of the way they shot, but I do say I didn't think that team was above and away where if they played 9 out of 10 times, Nebraska's going to lose, all but one of those. I think it'd be a lot more fair if Nebraska could kind of find a way to game plan it the same way they planned against Purdue. The only difference was the 3-point shooting just got insane. But yeah, I don't know what it is, Texas A&M, if it's the style, but it was very clear. And once Houston figured it out too, that's when Texas A&M really slowed down that second half. Just go straight up or take the charge because they initiate contact and bounce and flail every time. And that's how they get a whopping amount of free throws. And it did feel like the refs were just falling for that over and over and over again. There's quite a few times where I don't get it when the offensive player initiates contact. I understand how that can be a foul, but when it's so blatantly obvious that they have no intention of actually looking at the rim when they're running into dudes downhill, you can't be giving them the benefit of the doubt over and over and over.
You can't bail them out. Like if you gonna call that game, call it fair.
Yeah, I will say this. I agree with this texter 100%. And this one's from Oprah Wind Fury. Great name, by the way. He said athleticism definitely showed in the 3, 4, 5 positions against A&M. There's no question there. The athleticism, there was a disparity. Anybody watching that game could have told you there's a disparity in athleticism between Nebraska and Texas A&M. How high is that on your list? Obviously, you wanted defensive guys. I mean, you kind of putting that in the same category. Just give me some real athletes. I should say real, not that the guys on this team weren't real athletes. They just weren't as big, just flat out weren't as big and tall.
I mean, they weren't, and A&M, imposed their dominance. Mm-hmm. Like they weren't nervous. They weren't scared. Like they didn't care who it was. Like they were taking, it to them, period. They were running a run and gun style of playing. You can incorporate, there's other ways to do that and everything like that. But different conferences just play differently. And that's, I think, the ACC and the SEC are big for that. They got bigger, taller, more crazy athletic dudes that it's just hard to get those type of guys unless you at a Kentucky, you at a Tennessee, you at a Alabama. It's harder to get that. And then location of the schools and everything like that. I mean, a lot of those dudes are from Texas, so they don't have to leave the state. A lot of people stay home. Like it's a little bit harder to get or recruit some of those type of styles of guys of getting them out of where they want to be at and everything like that. So I mean, yeah, it would help, but I don't. Good luck with getting them or trying to get them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's again where I know we talked about before, but Ramel Lloyd Jr. I know people might be sitting there in their car if they're on their way home and thinking like, why is that guy matter so much? He's got all of his eligibility right there in front of him. He was a top 100 prospect, and he's a legit. I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". He's all that. If you see him in person, he's tall, big defender. And if he was one of those guys that if we could develop and especially maybe become one of those kind of 3 and D guys, because when he was at Sierra Canyon, I mean, he was playing with D Wade's kid. He couldn't be I'm going to take all the shots and be the highlight player. He learned how to play some solid defense down there. And that was kind of my hope for him, a guy that can be lightning on a bottle on offense, who's got a long runway in terms of eligibility, especially, again, with all the injuries. He's going to have to prove something in college if he wants to go to the NBA. And then to lose him, that's an athlete right there that I would love to keep around. But I will say, wish him the best as he goes on, because his run, the guy just wants to play basketball again. I can't imagine being that good, top 100 prospect year after year after year. You're D1 player, but you haven't played a minute just due to injuries. So again, wish the best of luck to him. We'll throw it to break, but we'll wrap up on this text right here from Unknown Texter. Nebraska seems to always get other teams' best efforts, and we seem to fall flat when it matters most. Is this coaching, players, luck? If Nebraska gets hot, we beat A&M 3 out of 5 times. We are cursed. And he also says, DPE, my 3rd favorite Husker, and he's 40. So that's pretty good. Coming from a 40-year-old to have you still that high up there. So again, shout out to the Unknown Texter and everyone out there. We'll throw it to break, but this is the Don't Punt Hour. We'll talk a little more college hoops and then also an NFL rule change that I'm sure you've already read and heard about ad nauseum today. So we'll talk about that all next on the Don't Punt Hour. Don't go anywhere.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Although we can't control the air we breathe outside our home, we can make a healthy difference inside, and all it takes is a call to Bryant. With healthy air options, Bryant can help you eliminate allergens, odors, and harmful chemicals, all while controlling indoor humidity levels at the same time. If it's time for a breath of fresh air inside, it's time to call Bryant. Breathe easy, breathe healthy. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. We do whatever it takes.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Tune in every Wednesday night from 9 to 10 p.m. for the Malone Radio Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Don't miss the opportunity to learn about the Malone Community Center's goal to eliminate multi-generational poverty in Lincoln and the surrounding area. It's the Malone Radio Show with Executive Director John Goodwin and Sports Director Mike Hunter every Wednesday night from 9 to 10 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Here in the heart of the Midwest, the call of the wild meets the passion for conservation. At Nebraska Game and Parks, we're not just preserving nature, we are shaping its future. Work in our state parks or as a biologist, accountant, conservation officer, or a variety of other roles. And come work where you love to play. You can make a difference for Nebraskans and for our state's wildlife and wild places. Apply today at outdoornebraska.gov. Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back into the Don't Punt Hour. Once again, Harrison Arns on the ones and twos back at the 1040 Ticket Studios. DeMornay Pierson-El, the host, as always, streaming in. I do want to talk about the NFL rule change, but first, let's just take a look at the Sweet 16 on who we all got left in the field. And I just want to tell you who's your favorite right now out of all these teams left, because for the most part, if you went safe with chalk, you're probably sitting okay. If you picked a lot of upsets, you're probably kicking yourself in the back right now, because the only big upset in the Sweet 16 would really be NC State at 11. Obviously, Kansas, Kentucky, wherever you had those guys, maybe you had one of them up there. But you got number 1, UConn, number 5, San Diego State, number 3, Illinois, number 2, Iowa State, number 1, North Carolina, 4, Alabama, 6, Clemson, 2, Arizona. And then going to the other side on the South, Houston, number 1, Duke, number 4, NC State, 11, Marquette, 2. And then in the Midwest, Purdue 1, Gonzaga 5, Creighton 3, and Tennessee 2. That's your Sweet 16. Not a lot of chaos in there. But again, out of that group right there, is there any teams that are really standing above anybody else that look like, you know what, if I had to take a second stab at that, this is my winner?
I would say UConn and NC State, honestly.
You're in on NC State, the 11 seed NC State.
NC State, their center, he getting active. He putting in work. He is a bully. He is a bruiser. He is a problem. And if you don't have, a big man that can compete, and not even if he's tall, you need somebody with size.
Yeah, the understatement. He plays mean too.
Yes. So he is a bully. He is a problem for people. He's been unstoppable, and unless you can get him in foul trouble and get him out the game, yeah, you got something on your hands.
I'm all in for NC State to win it all. If they could pull that off, I wish they would have got a better test against Kentucky. What does a high-flying offense do? But Oakland, I'll give Oakland credit. They played pretty good in that second game, too. Shout out Golke. He was kind of this year's everyone's favorite player after just absolutely going nuclear against Kentucky, and then had another good showing against NC State, but they still fall short. So real quick, NC State, their path, they beat Texas Tech, number 6 Texas Tech, for their first upset. Then they're actually favored in the next one because they got 14 Oakland. They win that one. Their next game is against number 2 Marquette. Marquette had to beat Western Kentucky, then Colorado. And that Colorado game was a pretty good one as well. Yeah. And then you got NC State, Marquette. Do you like NC State going all the way despite possibly having to not only play Marquette and then Houston or Duke? I do think Duke is one team that depth and size, they might be able to handle NC State in that center.
Matching up wise, I would say Duke and probably Houston are most compatible. Mm-hmm. Houston has a lefty. I can't think of his name. I just know it's number 13. He has some size on him, and he has a game to him. But those are probably the only two that that I can see that might give. Well, ain't no might that will give NC State a problem.
Make it a good game at the very least, right? What about UConn? Are you buying into, because they've just been we'll talk about their route. They beat number 16 Stenson. Then you're like, okay, number 9 Northwestern, they looked pretty impressive, and they're opening. No, Northwestern gets squashed. UConn looks dominant still. I'm glad we didn't have to run into that buzzsaw, because I think UConn, if there's any team that's going to stop UConn, I was one of those dummies that picked Auburn to upset UConn. Auburn lost day one, so they didn't have a chance. In Illinois, at Iowa State, at San Diego State, do any of those guys have a chance on taking down last year's champion? DeMornay Pierson-El shaking his head.
No.
consistently for all those listeners?
Unless UConn just has an off night, they operating at a level of efficiency which is crazy. Inside, outside, pick and roll, transition defense. They're in almost in every category. They're up. They're winning. They're playing flawless almost. So I mean, they're going to be a problem for anybody that they face. They're champs for a reason, and you got to go see them about knocking them off. So I mean, good luck to the teams, but that's not a team that I want to see at all.
Yeah. So just to quick summarize it. So you look in the Big East tournament. UConn, their last loss would have been St. John, or excuse me, they haven't lost. They won the Big East tournament. They are able to take down Marquette in that one, 73-57. That's not impressive enough. Again, we talked about it. It beat Stetson 52-91. More competition with Northwestern, maybe still not quite. They beat them 75-58. No one's haven't been able to get in their way yet, which has been the crazy part. Good morning, Pierson-El. Do we still got you? I know you're looking a little bit.
I'm still here. Yeah, I think it's just frozen.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like that is the case. So tell you what we'll do here as we'll talk a little bit about UConn. If I'm talking about upsets here, I really like Arizona as that one chance that I can play fast tempo and somehow match UConn if I'm going to pick an upset here. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and throw it to break. We'll save the NFL rule change on the next segment, so we're going to spend a little bit of time on it. So don't go anywhere. This is the Don't Punt Hour. Good morning, Pierson-El. The host, as always, I'm Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s back at the 1040 Ticket Studios. We'll be back in just a little bit.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a chance of rain expected throughout the day. See falling temperatures with a high around 52. Tonight, a chance of wintry mix and blowing snow possible. See a low around 23. And tomorrow, a slight chance of snow in the morning. Otherwise, mainly sunny and windy. High around 36. I'm meteorologist Kyle Cluck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you're passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
On the block with Strick and Austin.
Now, to tie it back to Nebraska men's basketball, this group has a chance to do something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
You know, in making a run in the Big Ten tournament, a serious run, and winning the first NCAA tournament game, but they're not going to get there by doing the same things they've always done. It is on this team to step up and change that narrative. It won't change on its own. Teams won't lay over for you, and that's the mindset shift we haven't consistently seen yet.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now. In our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, we're back in for the final segment of the Don't Punt Hour. The host, as always, DeMornay Pierson-El, back in picture. No more freeze frame. So we got him back locked in. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo, Channel 961. Great way put a face to the voice. Shout out on the text line. You guys have been great so far. 402-464-5685. But we talked about March Madness. The teams are left. I told you if I had to give my upset pick, it'd be Arizona over UConn. And you took the NC State 11th seed going ahead and making a run. But let's go ahead and get off March Madness basketball. Let's talk about the NFL, because if the refs' jobs weren't hard already, they just got a lot harder. This new rule change, just a quick sum it up for all those who aren't aware, and then I'll give DeMornay Pierson-El his time to give his thoughts. This rule requires officials, and again, they're eliminating the drop hip tackle, however you want to call it, swivel hip drop tackling technique, where you essentially grab them from behind and drop your weight. The rule requires officials to note two actions. If a defender grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms, and also unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips or lower body, landing on and trapping the runner's legs at or below the knee. So three things have to happen: wrap around, drop with your entire body weight, swivel onto the runner's legs, lower body. Your thoughts on this rule change? And it is a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down if you get called for it.
I get it. You know, they're trying to make things, safer and whatnot. But at some point in time, like, it's football for a reason. Like, you want 300-pounders to not land on guys. You're limiting, what players can do.
I feel bad for the corner who's going to have to chase Derrick Henry down, and not be able to pull that tackle off. How's he going to take him down?
I'm like, you act like, they just like think, oh yeah, I'm going to drop this and that's how it's going to be. Like, no, at some point in time, Like, it just you go through emotions, and if that happens, like, that happens. Of course, there have been some injuries from it, but I don't think they've done that on purpose. So it's like you outlaw something completely because it's hurting your product.
Yeah, it's
like it's like you. So then you might as well just change professional football to two-hand touch.
Feels like we're getting that way.
You want to you want to take away the hip drop, but you can't, add grass field so that way, when guys are done playing, their knees aren't terrible and they'll still be able to, walk their daughters down the aisle.
I'm so glad you said that.
But you want to take out that like come on now, let's be realistic.
It's not about player safety.
No,
it's about protecting money. And if my guy Patrick Mahomes is a chance for him to get hurt, we don't want that. It's not about. That's what frustrates me the most. It's not about player safety. You could invest in grass fields. You know what? You're talking about extending the NFL season, regular season more. That just is going to lead to more. This is not to protect the players. This is to protect your wallets. And I don't want to hear. Now, it might be a still fair argument if you want to talk about the injuries, but I'm not going to sit here and buy that you're doing it just for the sake of player safety. You are protecting your investments. With that being said, out of this, the reasoning they're putting behind it. So NFL Executive Vice President Jeff Miller was quoted that there were 230 instances of the tackling technique occurring during a game last season, with 15 players missing time as a result. And trying to find numbers on this and where they're pulling it, they say it's 25 times more likely that you're going to get hurt. I don't know where they're out of every single tackle out there possible, out of any just clash of linemen on the line, like to get the parameters, 25 times more likely of what? What is the number of the original? If I'm looking at sources that I can best find to try to get some sort of number, it's per 1,000 exposures, just collisions. It's 0.31 chance to get injured. So if you're going to say 25 times like that, that's 7.71%. Rounded up to 8% likely to get injured, but that's still per 1,000 occurrences. So if you're going to divide that by 8,000, you're going to be 0.00. So I don't get where the need is. Maybe there's a right for it, but is this the other part? Is that tackling style more popular than ever? Is this something new, or has that always been going on since you were playing?
I would say it was more so going on. It was going on, but the thing about it is like they didn't limit the game so much to where now you focus it on it. So now you taking away from the game to where maybe, the small encounters that you may see those and whatnot. Well, now you didn't taken away to where you can't land on the body. You know what I'm saying? Like you want people to stop in less than 5 yards, and like y'all adding so many stipulations to where the defensive player has to have so much control for the offensive guy. Their job is already hard enough. Like if you're gonna do that, then you might as well just, let's just we seen the Pro Bowl turn into a flag football game, turn into a flag football league.
Yep.
You're
right.
So like them overhyping, the hip drop, this and that. There's been a handful of cases to where I've seen it bad, and it's like, yeah, okay, that might have been deliberately. But what happens when a guy's coming at an angle and he's fighting off a block, and the running back or the runner or the guy who has the ball has more momentum, and he latches on, and the momentum of the guy running the ball just swings his body around? He gets penalized for that when that's not his fault?
Yep, if the ref calls it. And then, by the way, that's an awful spot to be in if you're the officials right now. I wouldn't want to have to.
It's the same thing like with the targeting, the targeting stuff. Like, like, come on now, like deliberately, yes. Like, sometimes the helmet, will, they will hit and collide and everything like that. But you can tell when it's deliberate and when it's not. And if it's unintentional, then why not wave it off completely and let it be what it is? Any type of head contact automatically targeted. And it's like, all right, come on, like stop. Like y'all taking money out of people's pockets. Like they got a family to feed too now. Like, come on now, like don't do too much. So
I'm with you.
It's very hard for defenses to be defense. And
if I want to put my full tinfoil hat on here too, the NFL wants scoring. Let's be pretty
Yes.
clear. Scoring was down last season. This is a great way to get scoring up. If I'm putting the tinfoil hat on here, you want to get scoring, make it impossible for guys in the backfield to stop, as Gorilla Bear points out.
That's all
I feel like, real quick, I want to read this from Gorilla Bear because this is my other point. I feel like the more ways you take away from a defender to make a tackle, the more dangerous you're making it for them. Again, it's a huge problem for the defense because what are you going to do? Derrick Henry, you got these massive running backs or, you big wide receiver, a slot receiver, someone, and you got their safety, and they're going to have to try to get them head on or across the body. But
they're gonna see knee, ankle injuries a whole lot more because the only thing that you're leaving left for people to hit is season ending injuries. So I mean, it's their monster that they're creating, and then in 2 years they'll come up with another rule so you can't aim at people's legs.
Yep, and there'll be more offense. But I think I'm not kidding. I think that's just where I landed. I think the NFL, yeah, you can argue part of it's the injury, but I think a really big part of it is how can we get more offense? That's a way to get guys open.
How can we sell this to be more excitement than necessarily it is to keep people watching and into it?
Yeah. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up there because again, I'm with you. I don't think it's the money. Add grass or about the health. Add grass fields.
It's about keeping the offensive product healthy enough to make you more money. That's what it is. Offense puts people in the seats.
Well said.
Not that hard.
Offense puts people in the seats, and I think that's what this rule change was really about. We'll find out in future times if this has more ripple effects, especially for the defenders in terms of what their history is going to look like next season. But yeah, it's a interesting rule. Felt like it kind of came out of left field, even though there was some murmurs about it, but it is happening. So something to keep an eye on when we start NFL next year, because that is a brutal rule for the refs to try to officiate.
Be on the lookout for them to try and outrule that little tush push too. Watch.
Yeah, they're on it. They're working on it. So we'll keep an eye on that.
You can't do that either. Y'all are not playing. How many rules y'all are going to make where y'all not putting your bodies on the line? Come on.
We'll find out. More rules to come, I'm sure. This has been the Don't Punt Hour with the Born Pierson-El. Shout out the host as always. We'll get out of here and talk to you tomorrow.